Welcome back to Organize with Grace podcast. If you're ready to declutter your life and home so that you can make room for peace in your heart, you're in the right place. Join me, Grace Ramon, your host and home organizer, where I and my guests share tips and encouragement to help you get started, especially when you don't know where to start. I'm here with you as you begin your decluttering journey, so let's get going. You ready? Hello. Welcome to Organize with Grace. This is Grace, your host, and today I want to talk about distractions. Are distractions derailing your decluttering project? In this day and age, we are constantly bombarded with things that are vying for our attention, and many can easily become distractions. Let me name a few obvious ones: social media, checking emails, our own thoughts, other people, etc. So let me first start by defining what a distraction is. According to the Webster Dictionary, it's something that distracts. Okay, that's kind of obvious, right? But I like this, the way it's further explained. An object that directs one's attention away from something else. Again, an object that directs one's attention away from something else. And another description is, or definition is, something that makes it difficult to pay attention or that draws attention away from familiar or everyday concerns. And this topic came up in my own time of looking for resources to help me become less distracted. But before I even began to research distraction for myself, it was brought up to me by a fellow listener, and I want to give her a shout out for that. And she hasn't given me permission to share her name on the podcast, so I'm not going to do that. But she really brought this about, and I'm glad to do it and to have a podcast episode addressing this issue. And I'm not sure if she had, realized that she was dealing with distractions. So that is my answer to you, my friend. What you are dealing with are distractions, and this episode is for you. And we're just gonna keep going. Just kind of, I want us to like plow through these distractions so that you no longer need to feel like you have to postpone or stop, or be frustrated with this cycle, what seems to be a cycle, what seems to be a pattern that you are experiencing when it comes to the task at hand, especially with getting your space decluttered. The truth is, this happens to all of us. You are not alone. But it doesn't have to keep happening this way, where we get distracted and derailed. Things can change. You can change. I can change. We can learn to navigate through distractions. And this is what this podcast episode is about. Now, I have been kind of lagging on doing this episode because I feel like I want to tell you so much about it. But I'm going to keep it simple in this episode. And if we have to have a part 2, that's cool too. And the purpose of this particular one, knowing that distractions come in many shapes and sizes. They can be internal, they can be external. The thing is, these distractions do get in the way more than we know. And I want us to become more aware of them. And that is the purpose of this episode, is to become aware and to know, to kind of safeguard ourselves and find simple ways to navigate through them. Because the truth is, they're going to come. And what's funny? prior to recording this episode, several distractions came by way of, oh, I need to reheat my coffee. Oh, wait, I've got to put away my shoes. What? Really? I got to put away my shoes now before I go and record an episode? Or I need to go and dust the furniture. Seriously? And I say seriously to myself. And so I told myself finally to stop and to remember that the task at hand at this very moment is to record this episode. And so we've got to help each other out, huh? Like push through. And I believe that we have the capacity to get focused. And it's so hard. It's so hard to get focused these days. At the same time, we don't have to give up trying, or we don't have to give up and not make an effort. So first, I want to say that you're listening to this episode and this podcast because you want to be more purposeful and intentional when it comes to getting organized. I didn't like that word intentional before. I don't know. I hardly used it because I don't know. For a while, it was like so overused. But now I'm going back to it going, you know what? That's a good word. That's a good word to describe how we need to be when it comes to making a change, doing some decluttering, and making space, and not allowing the clutter to get in our way. And the first thing is one, to recognize the distraction for what it is and that it is a distraction. So check out this scenario. You've already said to yourself, like you've downloaded my or your declutter guide that's on my website. And you are following the plan, you're following the steps. You've scheduled that time to declutter, and that time comes. And by the way, if you haven't downloaded that, go over to my website. I'm going to go ahead and put that link in the podcast description so that you can get your guide and you can get started with that. And you can have, you'll have what you'll get is the guide itself and then the emails that follow to help you along with each step. I think it's great, and it'll give us some time to also interact. So go ahead and sign up for that when this, as soon as you get a chance. If you're driving, of course, click on it later. So let's get refocused here. What I want to say about distractions is that we need to, like I said earlier, recognize it for what it is and learn how to navigate it, and that to recognize that, yeah, it is something that is preventing us from completing our decluttering and organizing project. And like I said, you are well on your way, I believe, to overcoming the distractions that are in your way because you're listening to this podcast, and I'm sure you're listening to other podcasts. And I love that you are doing that because you're filling your mind with things that tell you, with ideas that tell you that, yeah, you can do this, and that distractions don't have to win. And so, what do we do with these pesky distractions now that we've recognized them? So, for me, my distractions are, although they sound good, they can become distractions. One example for me is reading. I love reading. I love reading books. I love reading blog posts. I love reading articles. But if I am supposed to be doing something else other than reading, or I have scheduled myself to be doing something else other than reading, then that is a distraction. And so I need to guard against that somehow. And we're gonna go through that a little bit. And so my question to you, what are your distractions? What are these things for you? What gets in your way once you set out to, you've already set your time, and you have made yourself an appointment to do this decluttering. You've picked an area in your home, like your closet or your dining room table, or whatever it may be. And then when it comes down to it, something more urgent, quotation, comes up. And a family member is asking for something that they need. Suddenly, phone calls start coming in, and they don't come in ever. And then there are your thoughts. Oh, there's something else that needs my attention. So these things start happening. And we have to be aware of these things, so that we don't begin to put these so-called fires out while we were really trying to be intentional with our time, whether it be like 5 minutes of decluttering or 10 minutes of decluttering, whatever the time may be that you've given yourself. And so recognize that it will happen, that distractions will come. And so how are we to be proactive with this when things come up suddenly? So the one question that we need to ask ourselves when we are in the middle of getting our spaces decluttered, especially you've already scheduled it, you've already told yourself that this is the day that I'm going to do it, and it was on your calendar, and just like any other appointment that we really need to keep it is, here's the question. When that situation comes up that has nothing to do with decluttering, ask yourself, can it wait until I'm done? Can it wait until I'm done? And in all likelihood, it probably can. It probably can wait. And to give you like a couple of extreme examples, the things that cannot wait, of course, is if the situation is a detriment to your health and safety, or if someone's bleeding or in need of medical attention at that very moment in time. And I don't mean to be facetious, but just to give us a perspective that not everything really needs to be urgent like that. And yes, we need to pay attention to when it it has to do with our health and safety, with our life at that very moment. But when we're trying to get our closet decluttered and organized, and other things come up, phone calls come in, it's highly likely that it can wait. So that's the one question I want you to start asking whenever you set out to do your thing as far as decluttering. Ask yourself, can it wait until I'm done? And I want to read you something, a part of what I discovered as I was doing research on this, from the Wordsmith blog. And she does talk about the topic of distraction. And she says, we've got to learn how to navigate distractions and to apply boundaries where they are appropriate. Yes, you can say no. It can wait. You have the right to post date or schedule it. And she goes on to say that, if this is our habit, is to try to put out every fire that lands in your lap, then we'll just keep busy trying to put out all those fires all day long, every single day. And when distraction comes, it leads to another and then another. And then before you know it, your half of your day is lost. This is what she says in the blog. And she says, the day goes by and you've accomplished lots of little nothings. And so I don't want that for you. I really, really don't want that for you. I don't want that for me. If you're interested in the blog post, I'll post it in the podcast description as well. And so, as the start, I mean, I don't know if this is going to be like a series or whatnot, or if this is something that is already super helpful to you, or if you want to get into more details about distractions. I mean, this is where coaching comes in from me. And if you're not sure, what those distractors are, we can sit down and talk about it. And my goal is to pull those out for you, pull those out with you, so that you can begin to recognize it. And that's part of, like really part of my like virtual organizing method is to sit down with you and recognize and to assess first, and then recognize and then name whatever those things are that are getting in your way so that it doesn't get in your way anymore, right? And that you can move forward already. And for those of you listening, it may have been years and years since you've been wanting to get organized and you can't quite make headway into it. And then when you try, distractions come, or life itself gets in the way. So I would love to talk with you more about that if you're interested. I do offer a free 15-minute assessment to see if we are a good match. Me as your guide online as you get started with your decluttering and organizing journey. And it would be a great way for you and I to get to know each other. There is no obligation to purchase any of my like coaching sessions. I would just love to get to know you in those. I know it's a short time, but maybe we can get to know each other a little bit during those 15 minutes and then figure out if it's a good fit and if it's something that you and I can embark on. So I hope this episode helps and gives some insight into what distraction can do and how one simple way to navigate it is asking yourself the question, can it wait until I'm done? So have a wonderful day, and I will talk with you on the next episode. Bye.